if you don't make time for wellness, you're going to have to make time for illness, right? Eventually. You need to make time to take care of yourself, because if you don't, it's going to catch up to you. And sometimes I'll talk to people about, okay, so how often do you get your oil changed? Have you gone in the past 6 months? They say, yeah, well, why do you do that? For maintenance, you want new oil, you want your car to run smoothly. Well, your body is your vehicle through life. It's the only one you got. Why are you putting more effort into taking care of your car? It's a material object in your body.
The sound of that tractor means it's time to go to work. You're listening to the Give Us the Dirt podcast powered by Hoopah Grading Company. My name is Brandon, and I am your host. I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Give Us the Dirt podcast. We're going to dig deep into the stories and insights that shape the construction industry. In the past year, HGC has been making a big push towards supporting the team and the well-being of our team members. One really cool component of that strategy was to bring an on-site health coach to our team. We're so excited to have her share some of her insights with you today. Our guest is Kelly Gregory, who's been with HGC for just under a year now. Yep. I can't believe it's been a year already. Kelly brings a wealth of experience and genuine passion for helping others. Growing up in Long Island, New York, she pursued a career in healthcare driven by her desire to make hands-on, meaningful impact on people's lives. She chose nursing for its diverse opportunities and has since dedicated herself to improving the health and well-being of those she serves. Kelly's story has some really cool chapters in it, including volunteering on medical mission trips throughout Central and South America, as well as Africa. She's also been a Special Olympics equestrian coach. I didn't know that. And has volunteered at various special needs camps. Her dedication to helping others, both locally and globally, is truly inspiring. Welcome, Kelly. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I was waiting. I was like, oh no, they're going to ask me to do a podcast.
You knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you dodged it long enough. It was time. It was time to get you in. We wanted you to come in and make your rounds first. Do you feel like you've had time to get around and see everybody yet?
Here?
Yeah.
Academy? A little bit. Yeah, a little bit outside. I got to see everybody, walking in, so I think I'm good.
I think this is going to be awesome. We've got some listeners that are probably scratching their head right now thinking, oh, wait, you've got an on-site health coach? You've got a nurse on the team right now? And it does sound crazy for us because it was so... our industry just didn't do that. Nobody had ever thought of it. But the health of our team members is critical. We got to make sure that we've got someone tending to their physical needs, their mental needs, just their overall health and wellness. And you have helped us do that. So I'm excited to see what that's looked like. Are you the only one in your group of nursing friends that has a pair of boots and a hard hat?
I am actually. Yep.
What do you tell them when they ask how it's going?
Well, I put a picture on Instagram when they let me get up on one of the track hoes, and everyone's like, "What are you doing? Did you leave nursing altogether?" I was like, "Not really. I'm a health coach now, so I'm still a nurse, but it's just in a different role, and now I get to, get out in the dirt and work with guys in construction. It's really awesome."
How is that? How's that going so far? Well, let me make it. How's it been making that initial relationship, that initial introduction, saying, hey, here's what I'm here for, what can I help with? You've been able to break through a lot of the
I have, yeah.
walls?
Initially, so I knew nothing about construction at all coming into this. It just kind of fell in my lap. I saw this health coaching position with Cigna, and they're like, it's a construction company in Charlotte. There's not, the only other health coach in Charlotte is at the Marriott, so there's not that many opportunities in the area. So I didn't really know much about construction, but I'm learning and I love it. I learned a lot in that orientation. So it helped me see what you guys do day to day. And just, gaining the trust of people was definitely difficult, but it's eased up and people are definitely talking to me. And, a lot of people that initially talked to me have come back to talk to me about more things. And yeah, it's really awesome. Oh,
I can't wait to dig into that a little bit more. I want to hear some of the stories of you breaking through the barriers there and building these relationships. Let's go back. Talk to me about how you got into nursing and why you wanted to get into it. Talk to me about your journey up to this point.
So I've been an ER nurse for 10 years prior to this. I've done a lot of different kinds of nursing, but ER was my main nursing for 10 years. And I just got so burnt out. COVID was the start of it. And then I just almost felt like it was a thankless job because you're dealing with the craziest things, and you're saving people's lives, but you don't get to see the benefits of that, people afterwards, or you get cussed at, and working in uptown Charlotte, lots of gunshots and just traumas and car accidents, and it was just it wore on me. And then COVID obviously was a lot too. So I travel nursed a little bit just to get out of that, just to feel different scenes. And I loved that, but it all just became the same working in the ER. It was, rewarding, but also just, I felt like it was sometimes a thankless job. And
oh my goodness. Yeah, I can't imagine. People don't hear that side of it. And how was COVID for nurses, and especially in the ER, was it as bad as we heard it was? It was just...
Yes, yeah. And, it was different everywhere, and it depended on the hospital's resources as well. Some hospitals got hit a lot harder than others. They didn't have the resources. But it was mostly just people coming in all the time to get tested, and we're like, stay home. Like, you're taking up beds in the ER for people that are really sick. And that was the biggest struggle, because everyone thought that they were dying because COVID was this big thing that people were dying, but not everyone was dying. And, they couldn't differentiate that. So they came to get checked, but that's why you have hours and hours of waits. You still do, but, it was really bad during COVID. You have people like dying in the waiting room because they're waiting to get checked, but there's no beds available. So.
Oh my goodness. Kelly, thank you first off, thank you for your service. Thank you for doing what you did. And it breaks my heart that it feels like that. And I imagine there were others that probably felt the same way you did too, that you should never have to do what you were doing and feel like no one appreciates it and that you're in a thankless job.
And, there was times, obviously there was patience and there was moments that made it worth it. But the longer I was in it, the less and less I felt those moments meant anything. And it wore on me. So.
Well, and so you decided, I'm going to transition out. I'm going to go into this private sector a little bit, and you haven't had to deal with any gunshots.
Nope. This is much more my pace, and I love it, because one of the other reasons I left the ER was because you didn't have time to educate patients. They called it treat and street for a reason, because people would come in and you would you treat them and let them go, but you never really, if you gave them medicine, you barely explained what the medicine was for. You just said, take this, go home, get better, follow up with your doctor. So you never got time to educate people on actual health and like things that they can do at home, other than just taking the medicine, to make themselves better, to prevent illness and prevent, coming back to the ER for things.
That's interesting. I was going to ask you the biggest differences. I think you touched on it there too. It sounds like you're passionate about not just treating, but also educating.
Yeah.
And you've been able to do that in this role a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's the main part of health coaching, is just educating people and being that external accountability. Through, you educate them, and then whatever they choose to do with that education, you try to create goals to help them reach their goal.
All right. Prior to joining HGC, how much construction knowledge did you have?
None really whatsoever. My husband.
What's the closest you've ever gotten to construction?
I really
Have you ever held a shovel?
Yes, I've held a shovel. Okay. My husband works for a company called Tensar, so I but he's in sales. Like, I don't really know anything. I hear some things on his phone calls and stuff, but I don't even really know what they're selling, honestly. GeoGrid or something like.
Okay, yeah.
So, but I've never really been out in the dirt.
Have you ever planted a flower in the ground?
Yes, I like to garden.
Okay, so you've had mud on your boots before.
Yeah. All right. I like getting dirty.
Okay. All right. Well, that's important, because if you don't, you're in the wrong place. Yeah. But you go out to this job site for the first, let's go back to day one. All right. You're here. We've announced to the team, all right, we've got an on-site health coach, and you've got to go out to that first job site, introduce yourself, and start breaking through some of the nervousness and the apprehension about talking with these guys and these women on the job. How do you do that? How did that first day go?
It was difficult, because honestly, when I started, I was a little confused at my role myself and how it was going to work here. And then I have to just go out on site and explain my role to these guys who are looking at me like I have no idea what you're talking about. And even just the term health coaching, I think there's still people that don't really understand that. So I have to just be like, just come talk to me about something you want to work on, But yeah, trying to clarify my role with myself as I'm trying to explain it to other people was difficult. But, once I started getting those first few people come talk to me, I've noticed this word of mouth kind of referral. I guess people are like, oh, hey, he said you helped him lose weight. Can you help me? Or this person said you got him into a therapist. Like, can you help me? So then that, that trust barrier is already broken or there, like we've gotten rid of that barrier. And they're, seeing me as someone that can actually help them.
That's so cool. So cool. You talked about being confused about what the role was there in the beginning. I think and part of that's on us. We didn't know either. There was no playbook for this. We couldn't come to you and say, Kelly, this is what we want you to do, and this is how we think you should do it. We had to lean on you and say, let's build this together. Let's figure this out together. And you did a great job. And how rewarding is it that people now are saying, hey, you helped so-and-so. Can you help me?
Yeah, I love that. I love when, people come to me and say, like, I heard you help this person lose 10 pounds. What can I do? And, they're usually just joking, but I'm like, then I use that as an opportunity to, help them. They always, pat their belly and are like, how do I get this off? So, yeah, it's a good opportunity just to engage more people, and hopefully more people will start to come as they see that I can help, others around them.
So help our listeners understand, what is it that a health coach does versus, what you would expect a nurse to do, or what can you do? What don't you do? What does that look like?
So clinically, like I can take weight and blood pressure pretty much. And that was a struggle for me too, because, I've done a lot. I could do a lot more than that, but here it's more education, and it's help, guiding people in the right direction to make goals towards whatever health goals they want to set. And I can check blood pressure and weights in my office. And I actually usually bring them, I bring my scale and blood pressure cuff with me everywhere, like on site, around the academy, just in case anyone ever wants to check it. And, then we'll recheck and see how they're doing, in a couple weeks if they want to check in. But that's pretty much the extent of the clinical stuff. But I also tell people, like, I have been an ER nurse for 10 years. I have plenty of knowledge on your basic illnesses, even, chronic diseases and injuries. Like, so don't hesitate to come talk to me. I just can't treat. Or diagnose you. But I can definitely lead you in the right direction.
And I think that's so important. It's just being someone that they can talk to, that's credible. And then also being able to direct them through the different resources that are available that they may or may not know about. Navigating through our insurance and all the benefits and all the opportunities that we have can be a challenge for a lot of people. And so having someone that can tell them, hey, you've got access to this resource, you've got access to this service, here's some things that you can do to help with that. But the other part that you're doing too is you're helping them establish some personal goals, and then you're helping to hold them accountable for that too, right? You're staying on them. Like, hey, how'd you do?
Need that external accountability. I always say that. You need somebody, helping push you through it when you can't do it yourself.
How's the response been overall?
I think really good. I'm not pushy with that. But I feel that people are super grateful, and they don't expect me to check in. And I'm like noticing that in their responses. Like I'll talk to them usually a half hour on the phone or something. And then, I'm like, okay, so you're going to bring your lunch every day this week. We're going to stop eating fast food during the week. If you want on the weekends, it's fine, but we're going to bring our lunch. And that's his goal, right? So, or maybe we'll start with 4 days a week or something. And, in 2 weeks or a week or two, I check in. I've told them I was going to check in, but they're still like, oh, wow, thanks for checking in. Like, wow, that really means a lot. Yeah, I'm doing good. And then it kind of like, even if they fell off a little bit, it keeps them going. And then they want to like actually continue to meet that goal for next time.
That's awesome. That's all. Kelly, you've also, beyond just the physical needs and helping them with some of their physical goals, you've also been able to help some team members with mental health as well.
Yes. So actually, initially, like, I didn't get a lot of people coming to me about mental health because, we all know the stigma around it. And we did a lot during the month of May. You guys did a lot. And, those QR code stickers that we put, the 988 number, the suicide crisis lifeline and all those resources for mental health came in really handy. And I have noticed like so many more people reaching out to me. You know, I'm not a licensed medical or mental health worker, but I can definitely help with like manage stress and breathing techniques and different stuff like that. But really, I'm just here to get you to the appropriate resources if you have, you know, severe depression or anxiety or other things going on. So I am able to get people will come to me and just be like, hey, how do I get to a therapist? You know, and my first question is, if you have insurance, we have to figure out in-network or out-of-network. But a lot of people are just like, can I make an EAP appointment? And it's not that easy sometimes for some of them just to you tell them how to do it. What they want is me to do it for them. And I really don't mind, because if that's going to get you in the door, then that's what I have to do. So I'll say, come to my office and we'll sit down together. We review different therapists. I get the code for them to use for the 3 free sessions. That's employee assistance program. So they get 3 free sessions on, you know, different topics throughout the year. But it's not simple sometimes to do. So just being able to help them get into that first appointment is really big success. And I'm glad that they come to me, and a lot more have since we've done all that stuff in May for mental health awareness.
Yeah, I'm so glad they're coming to you as well. And because just the fact that they're raising their hand and saying, hey, I acknowledge this. I probably need to get some help. I need to talk to someone. And the other part that you're doing is you're coaching our superintendents on how to deal with it if a team member comes to them and says, how do I respond to that? Well, you know, what do I do? Who do I call? How can I provide some assistance?
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times I've noticed that a call may come from a superintendent because that person doesn't want to come to me directly, and you know, they'll reach out and be like, hey, I've been talking to this person. I wanted to talk to you. Do you mind reaching out to him? And if that's how we have to do it, that's fine, as long as we can get him the help he needs, you know, as long as he's going to somebody and, you know, people are looking out for him and aware. So we're all, you know, making sure he's safe.
What have you found is the most common reason that someone reaches out to you? What's the most common request?
Honestly, like finding my most common question I'll get is, how do I find a doctor? Or how do I find a therapist? Like, you know, not everyone knows. It seems like something that, you know, I've just known for a long time, but men in their 40s or 50s are like, how do I get a doctor? It's, you know, something that it's so simple that I can help them with and literally change their life if they, you know, find out something that they need to work on, or if they have high blood pressure, need to be on medicine, like, but they just don't know how to do it and they don't want to take that time. But now I'm that person that can help relieve that stress, show them how, and get them in the door.
That was not the answer I thought you were going to give me on that. I thought you were going to say, all right, help me lose weight, help my blood pressure and everything. But I mean, it even is more basic than that.
It's
how do I
basic.
find a doctor?
I was surprised at that question. I mean, I told my husband when I went home, I was like, I'm surprised at the amount of people that just don't know how to find a doctor, or especially an in-network doctor if they have insurance. You know, it's so basic. But you know, that's all they need is someone to help them do that. And that is so easy for me to do that I love to help them do that.
But that confirms what we thought, was that they're not going. They're not going to the doctor. And I think that is probably reflective of the industry. And I don't think that's just HGC. That's probably reflective of the industry. We've got predominantly male population, just stubborn, hard-headed. I'm going to be okay. It's, you know, I don't need to go. I'm fine. And they just historically have not gone to the doctor. They don't do it. But we're finding we've got to get them in. And the wild part is, it's easy to go. They don't even have to pay. We offer free health care right
Direct
now.
is a great service. So I love having that, and I can, you know, coordinate with Allison to make sure that everything really goes smoothly for them to get an appointment, or if they need a same-day appointment.
Kelly, why are they not going to the doctor?
I think you know, they're scared. I think some people are just
they don't
scared.
want to know what they don't want to hear it,
because you don't, especially as you're older and you hear of all the, you know, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. You don't want to. That's going to take time, money. That's, you know, sometimes it's a life-changing. If you get diagnosed with diabetes, I mean, you have to, that's a life-changing diet. You know, they don't want to hear that they have to make significant changes to get better. And a lot of people, I think they're scared, or maybe they're scared of a cancer diagnosis or something. If there's someone in their family, you know, they might have, you know, trauma from past experiences. So, but you never want to wait because the problem is not going to go away. It's just going to catch up to you.
So is that how you talk them through that? Do you just say?
I try, yeah. I mean, I, if you don't make time for wellness, you're going to have to make time for illness, right? Eventually.
That's right there will preach. There you go. There's your title for this episode.
But yeah, it's true. You need to make time to take care of yourself, because one way or another, if you don't, it's going to catch up to you. And sometimes I'll talk to people about, okay, so how often do you get your oil changed? Have you gone in the past 6 months, right? They say, yeah, well, why do you do that? For maintenance, you want new oil, you want your car to run smoothly. Okay, well, your body is your vehicle through life. It's the only one you got. Why are you putting more effort into taking care of your car, this material object, than your body, right?
What a great analogy. I would imagine that helps a little bit, put it in perspective.
Yeah.
You wouldn't treat your machine that way. You wouldn't treat that dozer, that excavator that way. Why are you doing that to your body?
Yeah. Maintenance is super important. And
they look at you and they say, okay, Kelly, I'll go see the doctor.
Yeah. But once I get them in, it opens up a lot of conversation, because I try to follow up if I know they're one that has not been and really needs to go. And then I'm like, hey, what happened? How'd the appointment go? And then they start talking to me about things. So then we can start working on their, healthy eating for their blood pressure, or, how to eat better, a heart healthy diet for cholesterol, stuff like that. But you got to get them into the doctor first.
Yeah. All right. So you come in, you really don't know what to do. We don't know what to tell you to do. You're here a year, you're starting to see some traction. So I can see that you're excited now. You're starting to feel like, all right, this is making a difference. I'm making a difference in the lives of some of these team members. Give us, I know you can't say names, you got to protect them, but give us some success stories just in general.
So one person comes to mind, and I don't think I'm giving up too much information that people would know, but it's a man that really, he checks all the boxes of success. I took his blood pressure at a cookout in December, and it was like 180 over 110. So I knew I had to reach back out to him, because I asked if he was on blood pressure medicine, but he didn't really know the name, and he doesn't take it every day. So I'm like, here's an opportunity to really work with this guy. So we made sure he got back into the doctor. I started talking to him about sodium. He'd never heard really of the word like sodium, and he didn't know how to find sodium on a food label or anything like that. I was like, what do you eat? Because when you have high blood pressure, you have to watch your sodium. So I explained all that to him and how to read food labels. I mean, he was eating ramen noodles every day and bologna sandwiches every day. That was his
packed
diet.
With sodium.
Yeah. So, he, after talking about that, he's texting me. He's like, wow, I never really knew all this. Once he read everything, he's like, I threw out all my ramen noodles and I gave a lot of my food to my neighbor. He said, I'm going shopping tomorrow. So I was like, okay. That's great. So he started to eat better. He wound up losing 42 pounds.
What?
Yep. And he went to the doctor. He checks in with me pretty frequently after he has a lot of doctor's appointments because he has some other things going on. But he'll check in with me and just, if he has any questions, he'll be like, now what is this medicine for? It's funny that the doctor's not really explaining it, or maybe he just feels more comfortable asking me. But we'll talk about some things, and I showed him how to get onto his portal to view his lab works and reviewed things with them. But yeah, so he lost 42 pounds. His blood pressure when I last checked was 130 over 80. I mean,
Kelly, that is incredible. That's awesome.
So that was really, really good to see. He also at some point so it's been a couple months that I've been working with him now, and he was struggling a little bit at some point. He's like, food's just really expensive. And I know he had some financial struggles. So I referred him to findhelp.org, and it has a bunch of different resources, like financial resources for housing, utilities, shelter, all that stuff. And we found a food bank in his area that he did qualify for. And so he got food delivered to him. He gets a box every 2 weeks for I don't know how long. And then he shared with me that he shared that resource with his neighbors who have kids, and they were struggling. So he was just one that I was like, wow, I helped this guy in so many ways. And I just really felt good about that.
How rewarding is that to you?
It really was. And he's a very nice guy, and he wanted to learn, and it just shows that if someone just puts this time and effort into helping you, like you can make changes, but sometimes just you don't have the resources there available to you.
And all of that because we checked blood pressure at a cookout.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Oh, and
so
he quit
cool.
smoking. We started him on nicotine replacement therapy.
And that's your poster child right there for
I know.
on-site health coach.
I got to follow up with him and make sure he's, staying on it. But he's definitely checked in. He'll randomly just call and be like, oh, my doctor's appointment went really good the other day. And
That's incredible.
Great.
Congratulations. That's so cool. And thank you for doing that. I mean, you've possibly saved his life.
Yeah, I mean, he was, going down the road he was going, not knowing, he wound up having congestive heart failure and, which is manageable, but not knowing what sodium is and then having congestive heart failure and high blood pressure, like, it's just like, I would hope that someone at some point would have taught him that, but I was the one to teach him that.
Yeah, and just looking at the labels on there and saying, all right, how much of this can I have?
Yeah.
What, that's, if you're not in the habit of doing that and you're just grabbing stuff because it's easy, it's affordable and it's quick, then you're gonna get the wrong things.
Yeah.
You're filling up with the wrong food. So, well, that's great. What a great story. I don't think you could have given a better example of the impact that you're making. You said something that the other day, I heard it. It said the overall culture and of HGC, it's a large company. I'm going to mess this quote up, but you said the overall culture is so family oriented. Even though it's a large company, it still feels like a small family.
Yeah. And how's that family feel for being such a large company? And
Tell us what you mean. How so?
I'm not out in the field, so I don't know the day-to-day for everybody, but just, being around the academy, I just feel like it seems like people like care about each other and you guys really go by your core values, which you can definitely see. I mean, I've noticed many times like superintendents calling me to ask a question for someone on their team. Like, I've had superintendents trying to get people registered for health insurance, within their 90 days if they're struggling and they want them to enroll. Like, I've talked to other people that are helping them. So I just can see that, up the chain of just everyone's willing to help out each other. And I think that's really awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And I love that you feel that and you've experienced that and you've been adopted into that culture and are part of it now. I mean, technically you're not an HGC employee. You're not on the HGC payroll, but you're part of the HGC family and team.
Yeah. And I feel like that, coming to the academy on rain days and stuff, like I like to just walk around and, seeing familiar faces. It's fun.
That's great. So we've got some listeners that they don't work for HGC. They're working for other construction companies. Some of them, owners, presidents, some of them operators. What would you say to other construction companies that are hearing this and say, I don't know if that's right for me. We've thought about it. We've never done anything. Would you encourage others to do this or how could they, and if so, how did they get started?
Well, I mean, it would depend on, so I work, I'm like a benefit of Cigna insurance. So if they were, choosing to get insurance and use a health coach. But I think there's also ways to have health coaches without insurance as well. But I'm not sure how all that works. But I think that it's really important to have a health coach. I think all companies should, honestly, because it really shows that you care about your employees, not just professionally, but personally. And I mean, if it's the simplest thing as getting them into a doctor or a therapist, I mean, that could be life-changing for many people.
Yep.
And the fact that, like, I feel like there's many people I know that would not have gone to the doctor this year or a therapist if I did not help them. And so, if there's not somebody there to help them, how are they going to find out how to do it and get into the doctor or get in to see a therapist? And it's just having that resource available for anything and everything they really need to talk about health-wise. So I think it's a really, really great resource to have.
I do too. It's been a game changer for us for sure. And that's great advice is start with talking to your insurance company and ask about the benefits that they provide. Is this something that they could help with and assist with? Yeah. You don't have to go out and hire an on-site health coach yourself, go through the insurance company first. Find out if there's something there that you can work through.
Yeah, I don't know if like all insurance companies offer it. I mean, I know Cigna does for certain companies. And yeah, like I said, I'm not sure, but I know there might be ways to get a health coaching like without having the actual insurance. I'm not sure.
Yeah. How much time do you spend out on the job site versus in the office?
So I try to do like a site a week. Maybe sometimes, I'll do during like July with Safety Month. I was out a lot more, and in December, and I'm going to go out a lot more for open enrollment because that's how I really get to talk to people. I'll be there. They can ask questions because a lot of times they just forget to call me. But when I'm there and visible, they see me, they'll ask me questions. So usually once or twice a week, I try to go out.
Get out on. So. What were we serving at this cookout where this gentleman's blood pressure was 180?
That wasn't even the highest. I mean, there's so many people.
Were we serving hot dogs and hamburgers?
Those grits, those cheese grits.
Cheesy grit. Oh, it was breakfast. Yes. We were doing breakfast. Well, we probably contributed a little bit to that blood pressure that morning. But are you the one that's responsible for replacing all my little oatmeal cream pies with apples around the office? I've noticed our snack situation is starting to look a little bit different.
No, I don't eat that.
Well, maybe you're having an impact on Angie, who makes sure that we're stocked up with all this stuff. I've noticed that her decisions have gotten a little healthier. She's stocking the fridge with water and apples and everything else. Yeah.
Hopefully we can, get those sodas out of this fridge and get some healthier stuff in there too.
Oh, that's next on your hit list, huh? Get the sodas out. How much water do you drink? I see that big old cup right there.
I don't know exactly how much. I try to drink 2 of these a day. At least one, but usually 2. I probably need more, but.
Is that another thing that you see a lot, that our team members, they don't drink enough water?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they don't. And they think, there's people that think, oh, coffee is made with water, so it's like hydrating, or like, Gatorade is super hydrating, but really there's so much sugar and stuff in it. So they definitely don't drink enough water. So that's something else I try to do, especially with this heat. Oh my God, I hate going out on site and I'm literally like, I catch myself complaining. I'm like, these guys are working in this all day. And I'm just sitting here like, oh my God, it's hot. And I'm out here for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, they got to drink more water.
Yeah,
they know that though.
Yeah, that's another great point about being able to get out there on the job site. You get to experience what they're experiencing. You see some of the challenges that they're dealing with, and it is a tough job. It is,
and they are hard working. I mean, I really couldn't. I don't think I could do it. And
it's hard to plan your meals to where you can eat healthy out there because you've only got so much time. You grab something. I do it because it's easy, it's fast, and it's usually not healthy for you.
QT is everyone's best friend, but you're not getting the greatest stuff. You can have healthier options though if you do go, but yeah, it's hard. I love the heated lunchbox. I usually do that as surprise giveaways because it encourages people to bring their food, and then you just plug it in your car and it heats it up.
What's the one thing that you could tell 750 of our team members that if they would start doing this thing today, that it would make a big difference in their overall health?
One thing? I mean, if you're talking like health-wise and weight loss and stuff, I really would just, processed foods is something that, I think if people ate just closer to a whole food diet, it would solve so much of the obesity in the world, honestly. Like everything is out of convenience. So if you can just keep in mind that the more convenient something is to just heat up or, grab and go, it's probably more processed. The more ingredients something has that you cannot even read, it's more processed. So just try your best to eat more whole foods, even if it's just at dinner or, two meals a day, and then you have a, fast food for lunch or whatever. But the best thing is just to be aware of what you're eating, because I'm a big advocate for you are what you eat, right? And you can't out-exercise a bad diet. Like everything comes from what you put in your body, and that's gonna be what comes out.
All right, last question. Build a lunch for the average operator right now. What would be a lunch that they an example of a great lunch that they should put in their lunchbox for tomorrow?
It just depends. I mean, I say leftovers are great. I mean, if you have someone at home like you and you guys sit and eat dinner, like take your leftovers if you can do that. That's why I love the heated lunchbox. So you want to have your little bit of protein. You want to have a bigger side of veggies and starches. Starches are good. You want to just make sure you have the appropriate portions. But green veggies are great. Green vegetables are really, really good. And they're just hated so much, I know. But portion sizes is really important. But like I said, even if you're not eating a lot of vegetables, right? Whole foods, less packaged crap. There
you go.
Less packaged is better.
All right, eat your greens. You heard it. Kelly, thank you so much for pouring into our team and for really making sure that they are cared for and for coaching them down this health journey. It's important. You've been a huge asset to our team, and it's been a blessing to have you here. So thank you for all the work. I hope that you are no longer in a thankless job.
No, I feel very appreciated, and I love this job. I love all the thank you ma'ams. I never got that, and I love it.
What was the line again? If you don't make time for wellness?
For wellness, you'll have to make time. You'll be forced to make time for illness.
Make time for illness. I love that. I'm going to commit that one to memory. Kelly, thank you so much for being a podcast. You did great.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll let you go so you can get back out to the field.
All right.
Thanks. If you liked listening to the Give Us a Dirt podcast, we want you to hit the like button and subscribe for more great content.